Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the channel. And we're going to do a quick update before we get into today's show. And I promise you we would continue to follow this story about the nurses. And it appears as though they have lost the case. For now, anyway. Now, we know how these things work. There will be appeals and things like that. But basically, a judge ruled against them that the mandatory sticker was okay and that the employer would not be forced to reverse their decision to mandate the sticker to these nurses. Now, they had filed a class action lawsuit. I think there was about 200 people. And at that point, we all thought they were going to win because a lot of you had posted different laws and stuff like that, case precedents from other cases in the Facebook group. And we had high hopes that some lawyer would come forward and help defend these people. But as we know, the damage has already been done. We lost a long time ago. There were so many steps before this as they were boiling the frogs in the pot, right? There were so many other steps before this that we should have stood up for. And we didn't. And so now these are the headlines in the first federal ruling on sticker mandates. Judge sides with the Houston hospital, dismissing claims from the staff resistors. You are now considered a resistor. This is what we are now. And this is just the beginning. Things are going to get way worse as they marginalize people who don't play along. So here we are. Now, I don't know if other channels have discussed this, but this amounts to mandatory stickers. What do you mean, Casey? Well, everybody has to work, right? So in effect, this is a mandate. Or you don't have a job. What happens if you don't have a job? You don't have a place to live. You can't support yourself. So you have to make a very difficult decision. And this is the first case precedent on which other employers will base their policies because they know that they'll win in court. And it will be used to enforce mandatory stickers to work across the nation. And now, the once hailed heroes, the nurses, have immediately now been turned into zeros. Now that they've already used them, notice how they waited on this. Notice how they waited until they got as many people stickered up as possible to now shame these nurses. These nurses are now being roasted and shamed. How dare you refuse this life-giving technology? How dare you set such a bad example of not having confidence in these stickers? This is the message they're sending here. Simply roasting these nurses. And we told the nurses in the beginning, look, you're going to have to make a decision about this because one day it's going to be you. And here they are. Now, they keep telling us to believe in science, but the science, for some reason, ignores the glaring evidence, such as states with low sticker rates that have seen a drop in cases. Instead, they just continue to try to undermine that. Oh, experts warn that it might not last. Let's read this article. Although CV-19 cases are dropping across the country, even in areas that haven't vigorously stickered up their populations, experts warn the good times may not last. So, where's the science in that? There's no science in experts warn the good times might not last. That doesn't sound like a scientific statement to me. It sounds like a statement of undermining what the science is really saying, and for some reason they can't explain. Cases are dropping across the country, even in areas that are not stickered up. says declining case numbers could be due to a combination of VC. Now they want to talk about natural eye moon the city. Wow, this is the first time I've seen them talk about this. They're bringing this up now. This is huge, you guys. This is the first time they've really talked about this. Because they need it now. See how that works? They use the science they want when they need to use the science. So now they're saying that natural eye moon the city was part of why. Now, had I said this a month ago, we would have got taken down for a medical misinformation, right? But now they get to say it, that this is now part of why. Unbelievable. You guys, it's so irritating sometimes trying to bring the truth in common sense when you got to dance around all this stuff. But you guys know what's up. I don't even have to say it, right? So now all of a sudden, this is the science. The science, right? Bizarre. Now, let's get into some of today's show. Make sure you guys are with me. Appears as though we are. Welcome, everybody. Now, this is crazy. Before we get into this, I want to talk a little bit about what Jesus reminded us to do and what he reminded us of frequently in the New Testament. He told us several times that it is the devil that rules this world. And don't ever forget that, because once you forget it, it's very easy to forget that you need Jesus. You see, the enemy has done a thorough job convincing the world that he isn't real, convincing the world that he doesn't rule it, that Jesus and his followers have no adversary, that we're just making much ado about nothing. He hides like a coward behind the scenes, pulling the strings of this reality and getting people to blame God for everything bad that happens in it, right? And that's why we have to do these decodes, because the devil is in almost everything that you watch on TV, and you can never forget that. And the people that think that a show that is viewed by tens of millions of people who suck up the deception and the brainwashing, when you side with that, you are essentially running cover for that deception. Sweet Tooth was viewed by millions and millions of people. It's like the number 2 show on Netflix. And so when sometimes I read comments like, "Oh, you're in the dark too much." Okay, I can understand if I was watching these films that nobody watched. But this is mainstream now. We have to decode this stuff. If we don't, then people forget who rules this world and they're being deceived. If you're standing in the way of that, then you are unknowingly running interference for the adversary himself so that he can continue to operate in the shadows and continue to deceive people. Look at the damage he's done so far, okay, through entertainment. He's tricked the world into this whole bender fluidity, right? And climate change and wars and everything else. All this is programming and brainwashing that people have been exposed to believe in these things, to believe these things are normal, to desensitize you. And Jesus reminded us many times who ruled this world in the Bible. During his temptation, when he was taken to the top and shown the kingdoms of the world, and it was offered to him. The many times that he cast demons out, when he confronted the Pharisees as being of their father, the devil, the first murderer. The Bible also says the devil is like a roaring lion roving about, seeking to devour anything in its path. So, what's really going on? Most people don't walk around understanding that. Even our Christian brothers and sisters, they don't want to come to terms with that. They think that what they watch on TV is innocent. But it's not. It's controlled by the enemy. Now, the good news is that Jesus gave us a way out of this world, and that's the gospel, of course. But the gospel has to be coupled with the truth about the enemy as well, just like Jesus coupled it with the truth about the enemy. And we are an arm of the body of Christ. We are a body part. It's what the body of Christ is. Each person has a job, and I'm convinced that our mission here is to expose the enemy and remind people who the enemy is. Of course, I'm no Jesus, but we are part of the body. Now, Jesus was the complete body. He did it all very well, right? He exposed the enemy. He gave the hope. He healed. He did all the parts of the body. But this channel is only one part of that body with certain skill sets. Other parts of the body are great at covering other things, like maybe they only focus on the gospel. Now, I'm giving this little speech today because it's real easy to lose focus and give in to the people that don't want this covered, okay? And so you have to understand the body of Christ, that everybody has a job to do. This is why you don't only watch my channel. If you need encouragement sometimes, maybe I'm not as good at encouragement. I work on it, I try, but then God's like, Casey, just stick to what you do, okay? This is your job. You got to expose the enemy. You're doing a great job. You got to just do this. Leave the encouragement up to other channels that are really good at it. There are some channels that all they do is pray for people. I think that's great. The body of Christ. We all have different strengths. And I hope that makes sense to some of you, because some people can try to come on here and try to diminish the work that we do here or be afraid of it. But I truly believe that our strength is to oppose the enemy. Understand that when you stand in the way of that, you're giving the enemy power. It's like, it would be tantamount to telling a new Christian, let's say you started studying with a new Christian, and you're showing them the Bible, and you go, just skip over all those scary parts. Skip over the exorcisms. Skip over all that scary stuff. Just focus on the gospel. You don't need to know the other stuff. You see the problem with that? So let's get into Jagermeister. And it seems like more of you have joined the show. We'll get into this right now. And my original plan was to simply look at the Jagermeister commercials and break down the symbolism, right? I wasn't expecting to find what I did, but there it was, hiding in plain sight. Now, let me recap before we get started. We had connected St. Hubertus the stag with the crucifix between his horns. I think I have an image of it here. He's inverted because you'll see why he's inverted. But this is the logo of Jagermeister as well as St. Hubertus. And he's got the crucifix or the image of Jesus between his horns. And we connected him to the TV series character Sweet Tooth. And he had a flame of fire beneath his, or between his horns as well, remember? And we knew that St. Hubertus cured rabies with one of the holy nails that crucified Christ. He would heat it up in a fire and push it into the wound to cure rabies. And we thought that is weird because that links right in to the spamdemic and the whole rabies angle to it, remember? Now, a secret society then emerged out of St. Hubertus called the Order of St. Hubertus, which was a mockery of Christ. And then some of you realized that Jagermeister used its logo, the seal here of St. Hubertus. So I looked up several Jagermeister ads to see if I could find any clues. Now, the first and most obvious clue was that in this particular Jagermeister ad campaign, they say to keep Jaeger chilled to negative 18 degrees. Now, obviously, negative 18 degrees is a negative 6 plus 6 plus 6. Right? But that's not all. Because, let me pull that up here. Here it is. When you do the conversion from negative 18 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit, it equals almost 0. So this would be 0 degrees Fahrenheit, 0.4, okay? Well below freezing, because we know 32 degrees is freezing in Fahrenheit, so this is well below freezing. But of course it doesn't freeze because it's got alcohol in it. So this was the obvious. Let's play this ad through a little bit, see what's going on with this one. Now this is creepy because this strange woman comes out. Now we're going to fast forward through some of this. So they're down in this like basement. Oh, that looked very dark. They've got these blocks of this Jagermeister and blocks of ice. Oh, look at that. That almost looks like a bat, doesn't it? That looks dark. Now, we're going to try to skip over some of the darker imagery because we are going to be talking about creepy clowns today, and I don't want you guys to have these images kind of stuck in your mind. So if I see it come up on the screen, I'm just going to kind of move it to the side because I don't want you seeing that stuff, right? But it's important to understand, why are we covering Jagermeister? Well, people think, oh, it's just alcohol. It's just this or that. No, though he rules everything, and the symbols are everywhere. It's not just in some places. Anything that breaks the ceiling, the glass ceiling, has the enemy's mark upon it. Now this woman is creepy. She looks like kind of dark and evil, very dark and evil as a matter of fact. So this was like almost an underground elite party. Very reminiscent of like Eyes Wide Shut kind of stuff. Now this is, I think, this is a relatively new ad. Let's see what she says here. Whoa, that girl had like a thing on her pineal gland there, didn't she? Look at that. Like a crack or a split.
Of course it's cold. It's German.
Of course it's cold. It's German. Now that's obviously loaded with meanings, right? Loaded. Listen. Well, they're all partying it up. They're all partying it up down here. And they're like secret society, drink responsibly. What else does it say here? Like, and then of course it's all about the Order of St. Hubertus. Now we're going to get into the hunting aspect of this because St. Hubertus was the patron saint of hunting, fishing, opticians, interestingly enough.
It's good to be the master.
It's good to be the master.
Jagermeister.
So obviously these are very bizarre. Now this goes right over most people's heads. But here's something else that I found in this ad campaign. And that was the campaign, It Runs Deep. Now, interestingly, on its face, there's nothing to see here, right? But we know what it is, do we not? We decoded the It clown, Pennywise, right? Here he is here, Pennywise, the It clown. This is one of his less scary versions. There's a more scary version. We're not going to go through that. But this is from Stephen King's novel called It. Pennywise was a creepy clown who once every 27 years would go on a killing spree. And it reminded me of the cicadas that come out every 17 years. And they come out of the ground, just like Pennywise came out of the sewers every 27 years to a town called Derry. Now, when we did the decode on It, we had noticed that Pennywise floated on helium-filled balloons. And we identified those helium-filled balloons as the gases of death. Helium is actually mined with methane, which is a gas of decomposition. And we had discovered that America had the largest helium reserves in the world, near Arizona. And then it all began to click. The methane coming out of the ground, the methane of the dead, decomposed bodies, filling Pennywise's balloons so that he could float. And you'll float too, was his slogan. And then we talked about the 99 red balloons. This was all before CV-19. And then that linked right up with the CV-19 death map, which looked like 99 red balloons all over the world against the gray backdrop of the lower sewers of Pennywise the Clown. We then identified the 19-year cycle, the metonic cycle of death that marks the plans of the world controllers. Every 19 years, there is a cycle. Now, when we put all that together, we discovered that it was CV-19. CV-19 is it. It is the latest in the 19-year cycle of death. Now, what else is going on with Jaeger? Let's take a look here. So we finished that one. It runs deep. Let's play this commercial back a little bit because I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so this one's all about these surfers that surf in the middle of the Arctic. They push their little van through the snow. There's not really a lot to see here. Then they paddle out, and then they surf in the Arctic. So it's basically the cold theme again, right? It runs deep. What is it? It is also the blood, the blue bloods, right? And what they do and what they know, the secret societies. It runs deep. And they're trying to infect the rest of us with it. Now, there's something weird going on before we move on to the next topic here in terms of decoding Jagermeister. There's something going on with these birds all across the United States where these cicadas are coming up out of the ground. They think the two might be linked, but birds are dropping out of the sky with their eyes basically shut. Their eyes have been shut. They're sickened. They can't even fly. And they think it might be because of the cicadas. Now, you would think if something like this happened 17 years ago, that it would have been documented and we wouldn't be guessing. Maybe what we'll do after this show is I'll research and I'll go back and Google and set a time limit to the search and see if there were birds with strange eye problems 17 years ago. Right? That's how we research on this channel. Always, the hindsight is always 20/20. You can learn a lot by looking at history. So, back to this. What else is going on with Jaeger? Well, this next commercial, this is crazy. Now, when I first saw this, I didn't see what it was really about. But then your spiritual eyes open and we see these drinks. And I think this is a particular drink called like a Jaeger bomb. I think that's what this is, where you drop the Jaeger into whatever this is. This might be vodka. I don't know. But watch this ad play out and try to see if you have spiritual eyes to see what's happening and I'm going to go back into the chat and we're going to do a little, you guys had asked me to do more of the interactive stuff and get you guys involved in these decodes. So that's what we're going to do with this one. Let's see who can come up with it first. What are we really looking at here? Oh, that's freaking loud. Let's turn that down. So see that? See what's going on here? All right. Okay. So let's go back in here and see if you guys could pick up on what just happened right there. Let that catch up. All right. Now, again, it's not just one of Jaeger's ads. It's all of their ads have this dark backdrop. Okay? So that should tell you something. Now, some of you probably already got it, so I'm not gonna claim a winner on this. I just want to see involvement here of what you guys think you just saw. And then I'll give you my take on it. Okay? Domino, says Brittany. Okay, that's good. So you got some black and white dualism, right? A timepiece, dominoes, climate change, a coven circle. Jim's very close. Now it means all those things. Everything you guys just said. The mixing of the two, very good. All of this is correct. The sweet tooth, yeah, because Jaeger's sweet, right? Very good. You guys are smart. Dominoes falling, yes. So it's a timepiece, so time's running out. Absolutely. Blood and water mixed. Yes, that's a good one, Alta. Eye opening. Yes, it's also an eye. Ready for this? All of you guys are correct, but I don't think anyone got what I saw in it. Let's go back to it. What you're also seeing here, let's see here. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Let's play it back. As this goes around and drops in, you are seeing the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail. Think of it as like an infinity symbol. The Ouroboros. Can you see it now? It's an Ouroboros eating its tail. And in the center, of course, is the Jaeger bottle. So, but all of you guys are correct. So thanks for all that additional. See, I don't know all the answers. You guys are way smarter than me. You might not have a YouTube channel, but that's why I try to involve you guys so we can all get the most we can out of these decodes, because there's so many more parts to this. Now, let's go on to this next Jaeger ad. This one's pretty obvious, because what you have here is the Trojan horse infiltration aspect. So let's back this up. So they wheel this quote unquote artwork into this, what appears to be a museum. And of course, out of this thing comes these people, and they start this like a rave party. Now that was Saran wrap, and they pull out the Jaeger, of course. They pull out, the shots, and there they go, right? So what I saw in this ad was the infiltration aspect. The enemy gets in with a trick, does he not? He poses as some kind of gift to get inside the city walls. We've all seen the films. We saw one of the films that I saw was Troy, and they show the Trojan horse as well. And what the enemy does is he injects himself behind the walls, unaware to the victims. Does this sound familiar? To me, this is about the hybridization injected into humanity, unaware. We're not sure how the enemy got behind the walls. We know on this channel how they're getting behind the walls, but a lot of people don't understand this. They don't understand the prophecy of Daniel about steel being mixed with watery clay, but the two shall not cleave. Now, we're going to play this next ad here in slow motion, because there are tattoos or marks, right? Tattoos or marks. They create a motion picture. And what you're going to see here next are like snakes and owls. Now this one is titled Hunt or Be Hunted. And that, of course, dovetails right in with St. Hubertus, the patron saint of hunting. But there's more to this, as you will see in the clip here. Let's back this up a little bit. So there you see the moon. This is very cryptic here. He's going into a tattoo artist. Tattoo artist then puts these moving tattoos. They're in motion. I'm going to put this in slow motion here so you guys can see this very clearly. Turning the sound off there because it's in slow motion. Now again, you're going to see the Ouroboros, just like the ring of shot glasses pouring in. It all starts with an Ouroboros, his design. See, there you go. There it is right there. Now you know I'm not making up what I saw in the other one about the shot glasses, because he just showed you the Ouroboros right there. Select player. So this is going to morph into, is that the dog or the wolf or Lupercalia, right? Justice Scalia died on Lupercalia. The Order of St. Hubertus is what he was part of. This hunting club he was at. And there is the wolf right there. There's an owl, of course. Play that back. Owl, Molech. There's L, or the elephant with his trunk. So he's selecting his player. I don't know what that is. Or a unicorn, or a cobra. So, or the stag. Looks like he selects the stag for his player. And then this begins. Stag's running across the landscape here under the sun. Go for it. Remember? It. Pennywise, the clown. It's interesting that Jaeger is the color of a penny, is it not? It's the color of copper. The copper blue bloods. Go for it. The stag continues to run. Now notice the transhuman quality of the stag. Again, another clue that this is all about the blue, the steel mixed with watery clay, the blue bloods, the transhumanistic aspect to this. This is not a natural looking stag. It's unnatural. And there it runs under the sun or the moon, I guess you could say. Love it. See, I'm not making any of this up. The it thing is real. Pennywise, the clown. Now I'm going to link another clown aspect into this. Run. There's the diamond of Lucifer. Lucifer's diamond. Now, another thing I notice is this is a 6-pointed stag. 6 on each side. That's 66. And for those of you that follow this channel, you know what that means. Make it. There's it again. It. Then goes up here to the top of this mountain, and out comes a beast. Turns into a dinosaur, turns into a shark, turns into King Kong, turns into a bug, turns into a bear, turns into a snake. Two-headed snake, by the way, back to a bear. Fight it. There's it again. Fight it. Lightning bolts. So he's confronting the beast. It, if not you. That's a wolf, probably. Lupercalia again. St. Hubertus. Who, if not you, who? Surrounded by 4 of these wolves. Pack of wolves. Own it. Now I'm going to tie all this in together in just a second here. And you're going to see the clown connection to this. It's the flaming hair. And we'll get into some aspects as to who I think it is. I believe it is an actual demon. It's a spirit that has deceived the world. The flaming hair between the horns. Okay? And of course, this is all about hunt or be hunted. The patron saint of hunting. And now for the most compelling evidence. Now, a few of you told me that there was a video game with a clown in it named Sweet Tooth. Finish this up, and just in case there's any more left in this. It's just them. Hunt or be hunted. Okay. So, of course, H is 8. H is 8. There's another reference, 88, right? Hunt or be hunted. Now, a couple of you told me about this video game with a clown named Sweet Tooth in it. And at first, I didn't think there was a connection. But let's read about this. Needles Cane. This is from a game called Twisted Metal. I don't know why that's stuck. It's like stuck right there. There we go. Okay. Twisted Metal. So who is Needles Cane? And this is where I'm going to connect all this back in together. Needles Cane is a series trademark character notable for his flaming head and has appeared in every Twisted Metal game to date, driving Sweet Tooth. He has many different looks, the first of which he has green hair and face paint. Then he transitioned to the trademark flaming hair. Remember that. He then proceeded to wear a mask strapped on his face, which first appeared in Twisted Metal Black. Often referred to as Sweet Tooth, Needles Cane is an insane killer clown who drives an ice cream truck. His face... Okay, so now you know who this guy is, right? Needles Cane. Now, do you see the Pennywise creepy clown aspect to this? The Needles name. Needles being injecting things, right? And of course, Sweet Tooth. It all comes together. And this exposes their plan that's been going on for decades. So I'm reading about this flaming head, and I begin to look and search, and I find the Jagermeister logo. St. Hubertus, of course. And what do these people do? They invert everything. So that's what I did. And all of a sudden, the flaming, creepy clown hair appeared. Mr. Needles. Needles Cane. Of course, they admit that Cain is a reference to Cain, the first murder of the Bible. It's actually in this page for Needles Cane. It says down here, Cain. So you know I'm not making this up or stretching it. His surname Cain is an alternate spelling of Cain, who was infamous for being the first of the murderers in the Bible after he killed his brother Abel out of jealousy. Here is his ice cream truck that he drives called Sweet Tooth. Okay, Needles Cane's truck. And here is the Jagermeister logo inverted. And there you see the creepy clown. There's his eyes. There's his mouth, his tongue, his chin. There are his cheeks. And here you see his flaming hair. Wow, right? Now, Needles Cane, one of you pointed out, could also be a play on the words sugar cane. And thanks to the subscriber that pointed that out, Sweet Tooth is sugar cane. Right? His name is Gus in the Sweet Tooth series, which is S-U-G backwards, which is the first three letters of the word sugar, which is, of course, is sweet, right? Now, here's the logo. there is the flaming hair. Pretty obvious to me. Now, I'm convinced that it is a real demon, probably responsible for possessing people into getting the sticker, the strong delusion. I do feel there's a dark spiritual battle raging right now that is infecting the minds of humanity. And I think this demon is probably something paramount to Pennywise coming up out of the sewers. All right, let's go into the chat here. Now, there could have been something I missed. Now's your opportunity to chime in on some of those ads that I played there. All right. Now, some of you had mentioned out, we got our channel back. There's some ads on our videos. You don't have to watch those ads, you guys. You can pop over to Odyssey. No ads on Odyssey. And if the ads are there, it does help support the channel. But also, YouTube has just changed their terms and conditions. So even if they unmonetize my video, they can still put ads on it. So the ads are there. Okay, that's YouTube. That's what you have to do to be in good standing. All right. I'm just letting you know, because trolls will go out there and say, he's got ads on his videos, he's got to be a this or a that. In order to stay on YouTube, they're running a business. If you don't have ads on your videos, then you will get kicked off of YouTube eventually. They don't want people, their watch times being filled up with ways that they can't make money. So this is just what we have to deal with. It's no different than you having to go to a 9-to-5 job, working to make somebody else rich. Okay, so just to let you know, for some reason we get attacked a lot, you guys. We get people, they'll find any type of reason to try to discredit this work. It's because the work's so powerful. They try to say, oh, he's not real because he has a join button on his channel. I mean, I've heard it all. Meanwhile, they ignore all the channels that have 6 or 7 sponsors who are always trying to sell stuff. They don't go off on them. Here we are with no sponsors, surviving on the nickels and pennies of ads that we get so that I can get up every day and do this. So I just wanted to put that out there. Okay, what else do we have here? Okay. Thanks, Klotz. Yeah, some of you had mentioned the Twisted Metal, and I didn't go too deep into that. I'm sure I could have pulled up, the gameplay and all that, but to me, that's where I'll draw the line. We don't need to be sitting on here going through really dark and evil gameplay on, it's good enough to just go on to and read about and decode it that way so you guys can see. Yeah, 6 points on an antler, 6 fingers, 6 toes. The Nephilim. Wow, great point, Anita. I missed that, so very good. You are right. The Bible says that the giants, after the flood, there was a race of giants who had 6 fingers and 6 toes. And that's probably what the 66 really means at its root. I think they had an extra row of teeth as well. All right. I'm just reading in the chat here. Is there anything else I missed, you guys? Someone said the game is evil. Yeah, you can pretty much tell that by just looking at it, looking and reading about it. I mean, it's crazy. Someone wants my email, CaseyBrown1973 @gmail.com. Okay. All right, so what do we got going on tomorrow? Well, I already got my hands on the new Infinity movie with Mark Wahlberg. And I already, look, this is what I already did. I did a lot yesterday. Infinite, I'm sorry, it's called Infinite. This is it right here. I watched this whole movie. I put these clips together. We'll put that in a montage. I also watched the Awake film. I'll give you a quick decode on the Awake film from Netflix. But look at this. So this is crazy, you guys. Okay, I'm getting ADD now because I'm getting so excited. Okay, so this is from Infinity with Mark Wahlberg. And again, I'll put this together in a montage, but I'm just showing you what I'm working on. I still have to edit all this down because, as you can see, I got to get rid of all of that. See that? But let me give you just a little sneak peek. So there's an egg. You guys, this is everything we've been talking about. The Orphic egg. And guess what happens? This bird flies in around it in a spiral. This is the Orphic egg, the snake wrapping around the egg. Birds are like reptilian. Okay, we've covered that before. And then they actually talk about this egg. It's supposed to be a world-ending device. Then they talk about unwinding the egg or unwinding the DNA. This lady's in it. She was in another film that I decoded recently. So we'll get into that. Then there's all this atom programming. All of these movies are about God in the Bible. How can people still deny there's a God when every single movie shows God in it or tries to make a lie about God? And here he puts the egg in his side, just like Adam, as you can see there. He opens his side and he places the egg inside. That represents birth. Eve was birthed out of Adam's side. So we'll break all this down. We'll do a full show on that, full live show. But I wanted to show you what I was working on. Now, we're going to end the show today with talking about Awake, the movie I just decoded. It's about some kind of electromagnetic pulse that comes out of the space or the sky, and it basically shuts everything down so cars will not drive. And what happens is people are not able to sleep. The first night, nobody really thinks anything of it. But then as the days go on, they're like, we can't sleep. And they're trying to figure out why. And there's only one girl. There are very few people that can actually sleep. This little girl, she's about 9. And they, of course, the scientists want to prod her and poke her and try to figure out why it is that she can sleep and no one else can. The world devolves into chaos. Now, her mother is trying to save her from the scientists. She's trying to get away. And then she has a son, too. So she's traveling with her son and her daughter. The son can't sleep either. He's a little bit older. The son's name is Noah. What does Noah do? He baptizes his mother. But they don't say he's baptizing her, but basically he drowns her. Him and his sister drown the mother under the water, and then they bring her back to life because they realize that if you can die and be reborn, then you'll be able to sleep. And of course, all of this is mockery. But sadly, very few people even connect the dots. They don't get it. So that's the decode on Awake. We won't be doing any further work on that. It wasn't really loaded up with too many things. So that was pretty much the Cliff Notes version. Now, of course, it's the T-Man's birthday today. On the heels of the eclipse that we just went through, the Ring of Fire. All right. Okay. So, tomorrow we will be doing Infinity. All right, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Got some errands to run today. Much love to all of you. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Like, subscribe, share this video. Have a great day.